But before we start, please make sure to subscribe to m&rtv and hit the bell so you never miss any upload from us. Also, leave a like right now. It was a cold morning in Pennsylvania when construction workers discovered something that left them speechless. Outside of a Pittsburgh home, a random act discovered the 52-year-old family secret. Underneath the deck, they found something that resembled a human bone. When they start digging deeper, they uncovered a mystery that has been haunting the neighborhood for decades. Read on to see what happened with a desperate housewife who disappears without a trace. What started as a regular reconstruction home site turned to an event of mystery solving. One family finally got to discover the family's biggest secret. The red brick house located on Balk Street in the northern part of the city was built at the beginning of the 20th century. At the time, no one had an idea that this house would hold such a big secret. The house on Black Street got new owners in 2018. Once the new owners got keys, they decided to renovate the entire place. In no time, construction workers were on site and they were ready to tackle the well-hidden secret of a century. Beneath the deck in the backyard, workers discovered a set of human bones. Could they be human? Maybe someone's dog just grabbed some bones from the garbage place and brought them here. However, there were no dogs around, so they decided to do the only thing they could. Since they had no idea if the bones were human or not, they decided to call the police and let them investigate their findings. As soon as the police heard about the findings, they reacted immediately. Very soon, contractors will learn whose bones they discovered. As investigators rushed to identify the bones, they stumbled across a secret that has been kept hidden for more than 50 years. For retired cop Therese Rocco, this was the perfect opportunity to discover what happened in 1964. That year, Therese lost one of the dearest people in her life. Mary Akuri was one of the closest friends to Therese Rocco. Together with her family, she lived next door and the two visited each other every day. One day, Mary decided to leave her husband and leave her children behind. Many believe that she just fled from a broken marriage. Many believe that Mary had an unhappy marriage, so she had to run away. However, others thought that there is much more to this story. So Teresa decided to join forces with the police and finally get to the bottom of the story. It's not unusual for people to discover what happened to their loved ones months or even years after they disappear. For example, in 2017, Marcia Eubank discovered what happened with her husband 6 months after he was gone. For 20 years, Marcia and Howard lived together before everything collapsed. Marcia married Howard in 1994. Marcia already had 2 adult sons. Still, the couple lived together for 20 years. The couple lived happily in Coventry Township. Then one day, Marcia informed neighbors that Howard suddenly left her. It was revealed that Howard and Marcia had troubled marriage. Still, when people asked about Howard, she would tell them that Howard moved to Houston. Furthermore, she told everyone that he has a new job as a driver. However, Howard's family was upset and confused. They believed that something was wrong. As the months went by, Howard's family refused to accept that he just decided one morning to leave everything behind. Then Howard Jr. made a huge discovery. He used keys to let himself through an open window and researched the house in his stepmother's office. He found a rubber bag crawling with maggots and flies. Howard Jr. dragged the bag outside and messaged Marcia. He wanted an explanation. Then she made a shocking confession. Over the phone, she confessed that Howard's body was in the bag. She adds that the rest of the body can be found in the basement. Did she kill him? Marcia stated that she murdered her husband. She was handed a sentence of life behind bars. Before this case, there had been the case of Latanisha Carmichael, a 3-year-old girl who disappeared back in November 1979. Latanisha Carmichael lived with her mom Madeline and 3 siblings in Brooklyn, New York during the 1970s. One day, 3-year-old Latanisha mysteriously disappeared. Her family said that she moved away or that she'd gone into care. 5 years later, Andre, Latanisha's twin brother, talked with their aunt about the missing girl. To her surprise, Andre had no idea that he had a twin sister. In 5 years, Andre completely forgot that he had a sister, so he tried to ask his mom about his twin, but she would yell at him immediately. Then he approached his sister. Andre asked his older sister Sabrina about his missing twin, Latanisha. She told him that Latanisha is gone forever. She added that his twin was murdered. Siblings decided to report everything to the police. So what happened to the little girl exactly? Sabrina told the police how her mom and Gregory, the oldest child, hit Latanisha to death. Latanisha vomited while she was eating dinner, so Gregory started hitting her. Instead of calling the ambulance or the police, they put the body in the closet. When they moved 3 years later, they moved the body with them. Police discovered Latanisha's body in the footlocker in their apartment. Both Gregory and Madeline were arrested. So could Mary Arcuri have the same fate? The house she once shared with her family was set for remodeling in February 2018. When new owners started renovating the backyard, they found something that they didn't expect. There, hidden for years, was a set of human remains. As soon as the bones were discovered, workers contacted emergency services. That same day the investigation began. No one was ready for what was coming. Initially, police believed that the remains would be linked with an unknown person. However, once they reached out to Therese for assistance, they realized that something bizarre was happening here. Therese told them how she lived near the house at 5445 Black Street. She correctly remembers who lived next door. Moreover, she had a special bond with Mary. One day, Mary asked her to be the godmother. They were that close. Mary and her husband, Albert, bought the house on Black Street at the beginning of the 1960s. In that house, they raised their 2 children. However, Mary and Albert had a troubled marriage. Then, in 1964, their lives changed forever. In 1964, Mary disappeared. According to Albert, his wife had left him. Moreover, she took all of her possessions with her and left the children behind. Therese went to the local missing person unit. However, she couldn't do anything because Mary had allegedly left on her own. When Mary disappeared, people started talking about how Albert told everyone that she has been unfaithful. Still, it was strange that she never tried to reach out to her children. A relative, Charles Spurna, shared how his mother was suspicious about Mary's disappearance. He also recorded one interesting situation. Charles recalled how Albert had constructed a terrace on his property not long after his wife Mary had allegedly run away. After that, more and more rumors started floating across the neighborhood. Still, Mary's disappearance was never investigated, and for 5 decades her life remains a mystery. Then Therese was contacted about the remains discovered at Mary's old home. Therese knew that the body is connected with Mary's disappearance, so she put the police in touch with her goddaughter. Thanks to DNA testing, investigators were able to discover the truth. It was revealed that Mary was dead and that her body was buried in the backyard of her home. Before the news about Mary's body went public, police reached out to Mary's alive family members to inform them about their discovery. In a way, they were glad to discover the truth finally. On the other hand, they felt sorry that many older relatives never learned what happened to her. Therese wasn't surprised to learn that her long-lost neighbor and friend is dead all this time. Still, it was yet to be discovered why Albert told everyone that his wife had left. Could he be the one responsible for her death? Therese shared how it's hard for her to believe that Albert could kill his wife. In her mind, she was hoping that Mary was away and safe. By the time Mary was found, nothing but bones had remained from her. Her body was entirely in a state of decomposition. It was even difficult to determine the cause of death. However, it was possible to notice that there were no signs of injury. This meant that there wasn't enough evidence to deem the case a homicide. Sadly, we will never know the full truth about Mary's death. Albert, her husband, had a fatal car accident. Moreover, Albert had a car accident around the corner from his home. At the time of death, Albert was 40 years old. Many believe that Albert committed suicide to avoid a collision from murdering his wife. Therese still can't think that Albert could kill Mary or anyone. On the other hand, the body was here, finally discovered, just under Albert's porch. Until now, investigators had not made any arrests in relation to the death. So far, they were not able to shed any light on this case. So far, no one knows how Mary Arcuri died and why she was buried in the backyard. Just 6 months after bone discovery, the house went on the market. It was sold for under $400,000.